Welcome to the second session of day 2 of the global webinar on viewing vulnerabilities during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Dr. Sangeeta, Assistant Professor, School of Management Studies, CUSAT. Today, our esteemed speaker is Dr. Asha Lata, who serves as Principal Scientist in the Extension Division of Central Institute of Fisheries Technology. She has 22 years long service with the Indian Council of Agricultural Research. She's a whole-time committed researcher in the field of fisheries, specialized in gender in fisheries, empowerment of fisherwomen, and value chain and enterprise innovations in fisheries. She serves as a change agent among the women as part of her social responsibility. The topic for today's discussion is the struggles for survival of women in fisheries, lessons from COVID-19 pandemic. We know that the coastal belt, especially in Kerala, are deep struck by the impact of COVID-19, hitting the harbors, fish collection points, the fish markets, and even the fish eating population. Though fisherwomen are refraining from active fishing in the sea, secondary jobs like marketing of fish, processing are undertaken by the females. Further, when the families are economically struck, the worse than any other surgical strike, the gendered impact of it is very unimaginable. Committed to research on the social and economic aspects of fisheries, we believe that Asha ma'am will be able to give an insight into the fisherwoman's plight during the pandemic. The Women's Studies Center, CUSAT, welcomes you, Dr. Asha Lata, to this session, and you have 40 minutes for presentation, followed by 20 minutes of discussion. And the audience, the participants can post their questions in the chat box. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Sankita. My topic is actually, we were discussing about the different phases of women, different contexts, in different contexts, what way they are facing the present period, the pandemic period, and with spreading to the general considerations, the general issues, because of the gender disparity and the social issues, and the consequences of that in different phases. So when I am working in fisheries sector, I am working under Indian Council of Agriculture Research in the capacity of principal scientist in Central Institute of Fisheries Technology. So I thought my prime duty is to look into the condition of our sisters, that is fisher women who are living in the coastal villages. So as you all know, fisheries sector, usually we take it as a ancillary sector or a minor sector, which is not given much significance. Only when some screamings are there, some protests are there from the fishermen community, or some intersectorial conflicts are there, it comes to the main media. But fishing is one of the most riskiest ever livelihood options in the world. World fisheries has almost become a market-driven, dynamically developing sector with tremendous technological changes. As marine fish production has almost become stagnant, now the whole world is looking into the aquaculture in both in ocean as well as in land. So increase and as a food product, if we are seeing the position of fish, we can see that food fish consumption rate is the highest, that is 3.1% is the rate of growth compared to all other animal meat forms, including bovine, mutton, egg, milk, etc., which accounts for 2.7% rate only. That is the rate of increase. So you can understand the huge demand for fish as a food among the consumers.
Excuse me, madam. Yeah, the PPT is shown right now. Okay, you can just tell us as to how when to transform. Okay, thank you.
The first slide, the fisheries sector, the significance I am explaining. After the title slide, the first one. So this shows the huge demand for fish as a food. But this high rate of increase in consumption is not only because of its consumer demand, because of the infrastructure development and all other facilities boosted by the concerned states all over the world for improving the production and increasing the access to fish as a food. The world fisheries production has reached 179 million tons, and out of that, 156 million reached directly our plates. This is as per Sophia statistics, latest one. And when we are coming to India, India ranks the second largest fish producer in the world. Next slide. So in the context of COVID pandemic, what is the real change if we are looking into the fisheries sector? This is what I would like to say. The COVID-19 pandemic, as we all know, it has affected the entire world, leading to huge crisis in the global economy, and the food production and distribution sector is affected. Being a developing country, India has its impact more severely, especially in its rural economy, because rural sector accounts for two-thirds of India's more than 125 crores of people. You can imagine, they live in 6.4 lakh villages and earn nearly 30% of the country's overall national income. The COVID-19 related restrictions have disturbed one or all the links in the supply chain, from production to end consumer in fisheries and aquaculture. Agriculture, animal husbandry, and fisheries are three prime sectors which needs utmost concern, out of which, failing which, it will be highly disastrous. Hence, the real challenge at the moment is to provide the most effective support possible to preserve business, income, and food security. So, coming to our major concern, that is women. Women, we know, my earlier presenter was also telling, they are the most vulnerable of all the working communities. It remains same in the fishery sector also. The FAO figures tells us that women account for just 14% of the 59.5 million people engaged in the primary sector of fisheries and aquaculture, that is in the production sector. Women's fishing activities around the world amount to an estimated 3 million tons of marine fish and other seafood per year, contributing significantly to food and livelihood security in all regions of the world. Considering the value of consumption share at home, that is, some part of their product they will sell in the market, and the major share, a major share will go to household consumption also. These consumption needs also, if we are accounting, economic impact of these catches go beyond the initial sale in the market, adding up to some, see the figure, 17 billion per year. This is also as per a latest statistics. However, these contributions go unnoticed. That is the pity of the scenario. The reasons for which we are coming to. In India, there are approximately 5.4 million people engaged in fisheries, out of which women account for 1.6 million. Most of these women depend on supplementary activities or in the post-harvest sector, in the production sector, or in the direct harvesting sector, especially in marine sector and all. Women's presence is very less. They are mostly engaged in fish sorting, curing, drying, selling of fish in the markets. Not only in the markets, you can see them sitting in the wayside and as head load vendors in the interior villages. So in the different forms they engage, but their income is mostly considered as a supplementary income at home. Only in the women-headed families they are considered as the major breadwinners, but even then their volume of trade will be substantially low. Women play significant but unaccounted roles throughout the fish value chain. So the entire supply chain in fisheries and aquaculture, when is disrupted due to the safety restrictions issued by the governments, which is unavoidable, the women lose their daily income for livelihood. Whatever be the reason, whatever be the consequences of that, the indirect impact is directly on the livelihood of the fisher families. In Indian conditions, overall, considering the production sector and the post-harvest sector, nearly 50% of the Indian fisheries workers are women, who dominate in the processing sector. In the households of small-scale or traditional fisher families, we know the major responsibility of meeting household expenses will be on the women's shoulders, especially during the lean seasons or hard times. So you can imagine her stress. In the coastal villages, the number of women-headed families are also fairly high due to different reasons, where the loss of income of the women becomes a very big calamity as far as the family is concerned. And some grave concerns regarding fisherwomen as workers, as employees, is they are mostly unorganized. They do seasonal or occasional jobs as employees, not regular workers or permanent workers in an organized form, in an organized sector. According to this, happens because the availability of raw material is highly undulating in fisheries sector, and due to their family hurdles, or because they are unable to travel the, long distances for going to a processing center, or due to some reasons, they are occasional workers and their work thus goes unaccounted. I mentioned earlier. Most of the time, they get omitted from the policy initiatives. And the consequences of all this directly on their livelihood is lack of, now at present in the field, if we are going to the fisher villages, you interact with the women, these will be their responses. Lack of raw fresh fish, that is a basic raw material in which their livelihood is dependent upon, is not available due to restrictions on fishing as well as fish auctions in harbors. That is unavoidable because aggregations are not encouraged to avoid the spread of pandemic. Then occupations like fish sorting, fish drying, pickle making, etc. also hampered. Raw material is not available. The work in prawn peeling centers or the pre-processing centers, that is also lost. Whatever little product they make, because if locally some raw materials are available from their husband's catch or something in a petty form, so if they make some dry fish or some pickle, access to market for sale is lost. They cannot move out. The non-fishery occupations like coir making, running petty shops, tailoring shops, then provision stores, etc. As far as Kerala is concerned, in India, there is a huge assistance from Department of Fisheries. There is a separate wing, Society for Assistance to Fisherwomen. They support the coastal women for through way of microcredits. For small groups, they give financial assistance, and it's not necessary that the women have to do fish-based interventions itself. They can start anything in which they are confident, like tailoring shops or anything. So they were running that, but that also greatly affected. We have interacted with many women groups. Then another major issue which is almost going unnoticed is the reverse migration, which leads to unhealthy competitions from other women folk, those who were not already in the field, or men in the occupation. That is, from the coastal villages, when the resource scarcity and the competitions increase, the women used to go to urban areas or cities for some other works, even household works. But in the present situation, because of the lack of transportation facilities and all, they have come back and they are now at villages, and they go back to their old profession of fish drying or all these things. And even NRAs, there is no gender, even including men who are coming back losing job. We know even qualified people, few days back, two engineers, they were interviewed because they are now into fish sale, because they see that there is an immediate benefit or a good amount of profit. So irrespective of their qualification or any community-wise right or their traditional know-how, many are venturing into fishery-related occupations, and this also poses a threat for the already weak women who are limited with a good amount of capital and many other restrictions or constraints. So they face high competition. And this is actually regarding their occupation, which is vivid, which is visible outside. But other than that, when we do the technological auditing or see from a policymaker's view, usually what we miss is the psychological stress due to the pandemic. The possible effect due to pandemic is likely like any other interactive risk phenomena, because it will be an interplay of the biophysical, which is causing harm to people, because it can cause a disease or a threat of getting infection, which lead to community or political freedom restriction, and a fear of harm to life is interplayed with its indications in the social system, because the society itself, not the state, the society, the social members impose many restrictions. They also supervise. They spread many informations. We know the so many unwanted informations and discussions are coming through social media. In coastal villages, it is not social media; it is in the from the neighborhoods. So, an interplay of this create huge stress. They are already restricted at home, and the bound women are suffocated due to the strict restrictions. For most of the rural women, going out for a group-based work is, if you observe, it is not only for getting some economic needs met, but also it is for meeting some emotional needs, which is thoroughly hampered because they don't have any chit chat, any discussions, any sharing of worries, any gossiping. These are all required to keep a balance between their mental stress. That ways are now closed. Then women's unpaid care work at home, it has increased exponentially as a result of school closures. Kids are at home, and the increased needs of older people. Doing increased housecore activities, meeting food requirements of all family members, etc., fall on her shoulder. The frustration of husband and wife in such socio-economically backward condition, it will be mainly due to financial constraints and the restricted movements. It may have very bad repercussions on the husband-wife relationships. It can lead to harassments at home. It may ultimately affect the children, which will ultimately again make add to the stress of the woman at home. Then risking on healthy and safety. This women do, because that we know as women of a house, only if some leftover is there, she will eat. Everything she will compromise. Needs for safe and hygienic ways of living is compromised for meeting others' needs. Then nutritional requirements of the family, the whole family, if it is not met, then also the person who is more worried about that or stressed will be the woman regarding her husband, her children, her parents or in-laws. Then risk due to lack of access to information provided through digital platforms. So this is another major issue. That is, there exists a digital divide as far as we are considering the women in the rural areas, irrespective of any sector, fisheries or agriculture or dairying or whatever it is. Uh, Whatever we say, the online access, online marketing. So, for example, online marketing access, if we are planning to provide for these rural areas, production centers, where the woman will stand, where a man will stand. Their access, because they shy out, they themselves regarding gender, as we say, because it is their mental inhibition and due to lack of access. Uh, then social debates and the changing risk regulating measures of government also leads to fear and a loss of reliability of the state. That is, different measures are being, when the lockdown comes, we have some anticipations, but it gets extended and the new modes are coming. Then regarding spread of disease, new informations are coming. It is not like this as we thought earlier. It is like this. It can come to you easily like that. Many of these will be false also, but these women who are poor in education and lacking the correct information needs. How many of the women folk will be directly accessing to the district collector's Facebook page? So they listen from the mouths of those who are surrounding them and get stressed. Then finally, effect of pandemic goes beyond the physical harm. What we are anticipating, what we were knowing in the beginning. So actually, in short, we have gone around the consequences of the pandemic, or what is the pathetic condition which is faced by women. See, some suggestions I am putting forward here. What I felt was mainly interaction and cooperation among scientists and academicians, technicians, fisheries officers, or non-governmental organizations which have expertise in issues dealing with gender in fisheries and aquaculture, with the objective of supporting the women in fishery sector with customized solutions, should be given top priority. Technology solutions are very important. Being a part of a technology institute, I have to stress this point. Here, I would like to say that with 101 research institutions and 71 agricultural universities in India under its umbrella, ICAR, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, is the apex body of coordinating, guiding, and managing research and education in agriculture, including horticulture, fisheries, animal sciences, etc. It is one of the largest national agricultural systems in the world. So, from that standpoint, ICR has a very strong role or prominent role in offering apt technology solutions to give a support to these women. Women-friendly technologies are developed by the 7 research institutes dedicated for fisheries research in India. Indian condition, I am telling. All these research institutions are offering technology solutions for making a better livelihood for the women using the perfected technologies and business models. For example, technologies from CAFT suitable for women's livelihood enhancement are mainly business models based on variety of value-added fish products. Whole technology and business pack suiting individual and group-based enterprises are available. BPD facility is also available. Even fish waste is also considered as a secondary raw material which can be converted to products. So likewise, under ICR, all the 7 institutions I am mentioning here, CMFRA is there, CIFRI is there, SIFT, SIFA, that is for freshwater aquaculture, then brackish water aquaculture in Chennai. That center is also there in CAFE, Mumbai. Cold Water Fisheries Research Institute is there. And these research institutions have a mandate for addressing the needs of these women, and especially we know the pandemic has created a very big alarm among the fishery sector, because those who are the stakeholders who are involved in fishing, the fish transactions, trading are affected by corona. So there was confusion that the coronavirus will be carried through fish, and it was now clarified through main media. So we have to extend a support for them. See, I am showing some examples where women are making a livelihood out of fish. This is the next slide. We can see the women enterprises examples. Here one lady, she is making organic manure out of fish waste. This is a small scale fishing pre-processing center where few number 3 or 4 ladies also can come. They can maintain the hygiene conditions and distancing regulations. The available material they can clean, dress and pack and sell through online platforms. And this was another thing. It was before the COVID era, a single lady who is selling the packed and dressed fresh fish. This is a scene from Tamil Nadu, because they are directly into crab fattening and making a very good lively income out of it. And see, the poultry, how come is coming to fisheries? The omega-3 supplement is given to the poultry. So the poultry meat as well as the egg will be enriched with the omega-3. That is mostly available in fishes like sardine, mackerel, and some freshwater fishes and all, you know. So if it is made available through the feed, the value added, the omega-3 enriched meat and egg can be uh, developed. It is also a suitable enterprise for a village-oriented woman. And these are actually seaweed farming. This is also a scene from Chennai. Next slide. You can see the variety of products. This is a few products and an array of products. More than 20-25 products are there. Women are trained. You need not worry because why they are not maintaining social distancing, because it was pre-COVID era. But now I am coming to that. Now, in the present context, how we should address, how we should do this thing. Modifications to make the technology solutions to make it adaptable for work from home for women. It is this work from home is not exclusively for IT professionals and high-end or white-collar jobs. It should be made usable for the household woman in the coastal belt. It is possible in safe modes, so that they can work in safe modes. Suitable devices or systems are to be devised for raw material procurement, processing, display of products, sale of products, etc. Women from fishing communities should be made members of decision-making bodies formed for fisheries management in COVID context. This is another very valid point, because these problems, like see, for example, last day when we were interacting, some 4 member group uh, of coastal women who were running a small tailoring unit. They are in total trouble. Their debt is, you will be wondering, it is 10,000 rupees. For 10,000 rupees, they procured a cloth, the cloth for making dress, but they are unable to sell the stitched material and repay the debt. And those parties who gave them the wholesale material, they are also small scale traders only. They are also in trouble. So if we can help them in a suitable way, see, through a online platform, whether it is for a food product or a tailoring product or whatever it is, or their provision stores, these women are not taken into consideration when we are planning all these things. Why? Because their voice is not raised there. It is not, they are not represented. So this point is very important. Then measures for addressing the digital divide. This is very important, because the forthcoming days, we know that now itself many things are going digital, and many changes will be made permanent also. We cannot because when it becomes more convenient, cost effective, especially the trading, marketing, here our women will be again marginalized. They are already marginalized, they are vulnerable, they will be again marginalized, they will be out of the picture. So their awareness level, skill enhancement, etc., are to be done. And parallel to that, because we don't have much time to wait for their full skill upgradation, and they should have their at least an Android phone with them, how to operate it, all those things. So parallel to that, till when they are acquiring the capacity, decentralized facilitation centers by educated youth, even from a house, one educated boy or a girl in a coastal village can help the women in their surroundings, so some neighborhoods, to sell their products. So such decentralized efforts should be made. For this, our government support is there. Central government is providing many schemes now under the skill enhancement center and the Pradhana Mantri's programs. The funding requirements are not much. Financial assistance for meeting the emergency needs and relaxations on microcredits are also required highly for the women. Uh, Till they commit suicide, we will not address these points. That is usually what is happening. So long-term plans, keeping the possible permanent changes that can occur in the supply chain mechanism and markets like skill development, product diversification, digital marketing, social media use, etc. should be given prime focus. It should be kept in prime focus. Provision of assistance for procurement of essential devices. That may be an Android phone, as I told, and the subscription charges, if any, applicable, at least in the initial phases, should be planned. It should be there in the plan. Then business models different from SG or group-based ones, where grouping or women should come in close contact, close proximity and work. That is not necessary. From the neighborhoods, they can work alone and compile the product and sold through these digital platforms. So such changes in the business models also we have to think of. Then only it will be made accessible to them. I think my time is up. I'm coming to conclusion. So, what I have to say is, we who are all attending these seminars are educated by virtue of God's blessings and the support of our teachers, family, and all. We should extend a helping hand for our sisters in the extended villages, in the distant areas, to be safe at home and make their livelihood, need not struggle. So do what you can, where you are, with what you have. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, for the wonderful presentation. It was informative slides over there. Okay, we have a couple of questions appearing on the chat box, and also I do have some questions to pose to you.
Okay.
So let me just pose one by one. So first question is that, as a fisheries researcher, you might have observed the heightened level of social cohesion among the fisher folk. And to what extent is this community characteristic of fisheries sector impacted the fisheries population, leading to this coastal lockdown, what has happened in a state like Kerala? What is your take on that? It's not a gender specific question, but still it is attached to the fisheries sector.
Yeah, that is a major reason. That is actually, it is the cultural ethos that we cannot change. We cannot advise the fisher folk not to gather. There is a limitation because it is built up in their culture. See, in our country, if you observe, once the men are back from fishing operations, they will gather. They will play cards. They may take alcohol. They will do chit chat. It is in group. That cohesion is their requirement. And to my surprise, I have met even women in the households supporting this. They are telling they are coming after, the husbands are coming after hard work, so they have to relax. Even taking alcohol to some extent, so far as it is not becoming a headache for her, even they are supportive. So it is built in their culture. So there, when immediate measures are to be made, we have to do it through legal measures only. Restrictions are there unnecessary. In Trivandrum, in Pundura village, when we interacted, one fisherman was telling, if they would have permitted me, they means the state, the legal authorities, they would have permitted me to go to the beach and lie down flat on the sand, I would have relieved of all the stress. But they are not allowing to move out of this locality. And to remain inside the houses is like they are as if they are behind the bars for them. It is their culture. And we actually, among our groups, we used to discuss. See, in America, it's such a developed country. When the pandemic was spreading so fast, we were telling it is because of their social gathering, their cultural differences. Without having a partying, meeting together, or taking their dog out for a walk, it is a normal life. It is not a normal life for them. So similar thing we can see among the fishing community here. Without a social gathering and chit chatting, they cannot. It had its strong impact in the spread of pandemic. Naturally.
Okay, ma'am. So I think I'll move to the second question, which is posted on the chat window. That is, you were telling about the online marketing of fish And also you were telling about the individual kind of micro enterprises where the fisherwoman could start with their houses and later on pull it up and either market it online or through other sources or other sources of marketing. Now my question or the question that is posed is that, in the present scenario, we are more concerned about the food safety and quality. Right? According to you, whether fisherwomen are taking any precautions to safeguard this issue. So right now, when the consumers are going for any kind of food, they are concerned about the safety and quality of it. And in the pandemic situation, we are, let alone anything, the safety is the first thing. So how do you ensure that this fisherwomen are taking care of this?
That is why I specifically told the role of scientists and technocrats are vital in this era, this pandemic era. If it is not for this, what is the what kind of a support an R&D system is giving? See, under a World Bank funded project in NAP mode, National Agriculture Innovation Project mode, we had actually perfected business models suitable for village-based women, the women in rural areas. There, the major concern was this hygiene and the safety. To make that sure in their household facility or in the neighborhood facility where 4 or 5 women at least can come and they can work as a group, that is possible there to make sure that they are following the hygiene guidelines and they are making the product as per the standards of the FSSAI is our responsibility. We are willing for that. We should be able to give it. We were able, we are able.
Okay, sorry
That
to
is why that is
interfere.
our role.
Sorry to
Pardon.
interfere.
Yeah, yeah.
That is one thing. That is, even if we educate this fisherwoman, will they be able to take up this, the technical kind of a things? Once you are giving everything and they are going to their home, they forget everything what you've given in the training. And at the end of the day, they do whatever, this cooking kind of an exercise in their own way. So can you just ensure that, whatever is done at home will be sticking to the quality and safety, food safety that we envisage? Whether something like a common platform, a common space is required and where we can, gather them up and under some kind of a supervision is required for these kind of a people. What is your take on that?
No, actually, we have proven this.
Hmm.
The fish based, see, we know that we on the roadside we can see the red colored shops recently appeared. Not recently, till past many years now, we are seeing a kind of a new trend. It is all chicken based restaurants like the KFC. So many how many number of shops we are seeing, branded shops. Why fish is not appearing here? So in that mode only, we have perfected the product development, packaging and the display of the thing. And this was perfectly done by village women. We could make sure that they are following the hygiene standards. It is our feeling that they will not follow this thing. That is the kind of skill upgradation what we have to give. And in a value chain based business model, as we told, see, singly or as a group, when they are making, whether it is a dry fish or a value added product, if you are making a product, it should meet the quality standards. Otherwise, we will not procure it for selling in the online platform. So
No.
it is their concern. It is their requirement. They will meet the, and we have proved it. See, Bata company, how they are making the branded chapels. It is made by rural women at their households, and who is wearing it? That is a kind of skill transfer what we have to do. It is our responsibility. If they are failing, it is our responsibility.
So how do you
We can
ensure
do it.
that? Is there a certification for that? Certification
No,
or
no,
such kind
no,
of a
no,
thing as a,
yeah, yeah, it is there. Quality. We actually at CAFT, if it is regarding value-added product development unit, we have all the quality guidelines how for to fulfill the standards of FSSAI. How to make a unit, how they what kind of equipments should be there, how they should handle it, pack it, store it, and sell it. It can be taught. They are following it. We proved it, and actually during that time, even the fisheries minister, after the parliament meeting, he used to gift that product to his MLAs and MPs as gift. For 2-3 years, he was gifting that. That was the standard of the product the women used to make. It is possible. We are not trying. That is why it's not happening.
And I do remember visiting one of the fish shops that was started by one cine star, Dharmus. Actually, I think it is being certified by CIFT as, if I'm right, I don't know exactly. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Can you just explain that?
Actually, we were the pioneers who introduced the dressed and packed fresh fish as a branded product. Yeah, actually, CAT is having a national level brand for that, Sea Fresh. So, following that, many private entrepreneurs were very much interested, and it happened. It spread through horizontal expansion. Big companies like Abad now, many big players are now in the field. Dharmajan is that Sinista who has started, who took it up very seriously and started so many shops. It was under our consultancy. So how to procure the fish, starting from the quality of the fresh fish, how to dress it, how to pack it, and at what temperature it should be stored, how it should be transported until it reaches the end consumer. And the additional benefit is without the chemicals presence, because the how to detect the chemicals in that also, that all come under the training package. So consumers can have safe and healthy fish from him. So that kind of consultancy we are giving. It's not only for a Sinistar, for any women groups. Actually, the women group only started that near Kalamukk Landing Center here in Ernakulam, and the products were sold by postgraduate students in St. Albert's College. So that time the political leader who came and inaugurated the venture, he was telling that it is a innovative method because the hygienically packed and dressed and packed fish, tray packed fish, it was actually demonstrated under that NAB project. So there is no waste coming out. You need not to throw anything in the roadside. Any drop of blood is falling in the fish selling place. At home also, no cleaning or further keeping of waste for throwing next day in the waste bin. Nothing is there, and anybody can handle it. These college children, the two postgraduate students, are selling it without touching the tray packed fish. There is no problem of because you are not going down in the ladder of social status. We did through the fisherwomen also at Kollam. They were wearing white color uniform because there is nothing, no blood stain, nothing will come. So that way, it is just a fresh fish selling only. So when you are adding creativity and idea to with technological solutions, it becomes a wonderful technology option, livelihood option for these women. We have to upgrade their skill, give a suitable business model, and handhold them to some period so that they become sustainable.
I think this was a wonderful initiative of the Central Institute of Fisheries Technology, and I think it is this information is new for many of us sitting over here in this seminar. So I would just try to tell that this should reach more people. And it was quite impressive visiting the shop for purchasing the fish, that the quality is maintained at a very high level that the consumer expects. So once I'd like to place my congratulations to the Central Institute of Fisheries Technology for such kind of initiatives. And one more
And
thing, yes.
Sangeeta, one more thing. Actually, we are having a BPD facility also. That is for any startups. It is need not necessarily be always based exclusively on fish. So their ideas also they can bring. They can take a facility at a very nominal charge here. All the technical assistance will be given. Technical consultancy we will provide, so that a budding entrepreneur can be here for a period of 6 months or 1 year, which is comfortable for him. He can do the start producing these products, do the packaging, everything here. He can sell it from here, and once he gain the confidence, then only he has to move out and invest on his own enterprise. So
So
that
that,
facility we are extending.
okay, that is an incubation model.
Yeah,
So,
incubation.
so how many people do you incubate in CIFT? At present, how many incubatees are there at
The total
CIFT?
number, the total number we don't know. I exactly the exact number I don't know, but we got the award also for the best incubation center from center. So we
Okay.
are one of the premier institutions in that. Even coconut based product also we did for, because if it is coming under packaging, some packaging
Yes,
solutions
yes,
are
yes.
necessary. Now we are doing for an Ayurveda product,
Yeah.
protein powder. So we are doing that because it is coming under our technology mandate. So
Can
many people are coming.
Okay. So can you just give an outline of the technologies which are being transferred? Is it processing? Is it packaging? Can you just list out if it is
Actually,
possible?
actually, CAFT is having two major mandates. It is harvest and post-harvest. Harvest means it is regarding the technology supports what is required for craft and gear. That is boats, nets, how to fish, fishing methods, then responsible fishing methods, how to make sustainable fishing methods, all those things, and fuel saving things, then how to reduce the carbon emission. All these are coming in the harvest side. This is applicable to marine side as well as inland side. Inland fishing, for inland fishing also we extend support for new boat designs. We have introduced the solar boats, which is energy saving, such a new innovations are there in the harvest side. The second major thing is in the post harvest side. Post harvest side, it is how we can, because the availability of fish, especially from marine side, is declining and all. We are now focusing more on aquaculture. So our concern is how to make maximum use of whatever available fish is brought to land. Edible products are there, variety of edible products as I displayed. Then from that, pharmaceutical products are there, curiosity items are there, protein powder, then seaweed based products we are developing. Even from fish waste, we are developing 2 3 products. Not only the manure, many other products are also there. I think it is available in technology list of CAFT's website. Anybody can Google it or ring up. This is a public sector organization. Anybody at any time, even though it is COVID era, you can contact our phone or through net.
Do you
All the
offer any funding assistance along with the technology assistance?
no funding assistance we are not enlightened to give, but during some project implementations for demonstrating some new technology for its commercial viability, as we did in the World Bank Fund project and all, in different sections we are doing it. But other than that, under the BPD, we enable them to get bank assistance with the DPR and all the support. And we have tie up with the funding organizations, so we can recommend for getting financial assistance from NFDB or nationalized banks. We will enable them. They are not finding it difficult who are coming as incubators in CFT's BPD. Even for fresh fish marketing, dry fish, and we are giving fish vending kiosk recently through for the Society for Assistance to Fisherwomen of the State Department of Fisheries. We gave on a technology consultancy basis. We provided hygienically made fish vending kiosk. In that inbuilt chilling method is also there. Chilling mechanism is also there, so that the fish will be stored fresh without adding no chemicals. Nothing is needed. The fisher stakeholders are not forced to add preservatives, kind of anything. So inbuilt chilling mechanism is also there. Like that, an array of dryers ranging from different capacities according to their business needs and the investment potential they can opt. Like that, an array of products are there. Calcium powder making, protein powder, so many things are there. And the
Okay,
seaweed
madam.
enriched the juices are there now. Cookies.
Yeah, a lot of wonderful initiative by the Central Institute of Fisheries Technology and the Indian Council of Agricultural Research. And I think our time has approached. We have to stop the session. So thank you, madam. On behalf of the Women's Studies Center, I extend a heartfelt thanks to you for coming for the seminar and appearing on the screen and spending 1 hour of time. And I think the seminar has been fruitful. The session has been fruitful with a lot of information, what we needed to know about the fisheries sector. Thank you, madam.
I hope
Thank
it
you,
was
ma'am.
useful. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and thank you for all the listeners who are listening to this. And my only request is make use of any piece of this information for yourself and for helping others. in the surroundings. Thank you all.